Okay, so we have a start the meeting. Call the hearing in order. Item the first is pledge of allegiance. So it's all right. Okay.
One nation, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated.
I can't take enough to save my life.
All right, so the clerk is not here yet, and Janet would ordinarily be replacing suffer from some laryngitis, so I will read the notice of meeting. Notice of public meeting of the Stratford County Legislative Delegation, Wednesday, January 31st, 2024 at 6 p.m. Notice is hereby given the public meeting, hearing and meeting of the Stratford County Delegation scheduled to be held Wednesday, January 31st, 2024 at 6 p.m. This meeting will be held in the Superior Court Room 1-259 County Environmental Board, New Hampshire, with public access available via Zoom to conduct the following business. Point to first, receive public input on the Commissioner's proposed 2024 operating budget, approve minutes of the February 2023 delegation meeting, any other business which may legally come before the delegation. So, okay, so I'll now call the roll. Ankerberg. Bailey. Here. Bay.
Here.
Bickford.
Here.
Bixby. Burnham.
Here.
Cannon.
Here.
Conlon.
Here.
Connor.
Here.
Fitzgerald. Patrick. Oh, my God. That's Patrick. Granger.
Here.
Grassley. Harrington. Morgan. Here. Did I hear Harold?
It says excuse.
This is not as easy as it looks. Morgan. Oregon.
Yep.
Howell is excused. Holland.
Here.
Kaczynski. Kenny.
Here.
Amantain. Jessica Amantain. Levesque, not here. Newton.
Here.
Hare.
Here.
Finney. Petrie.
Here.
Potenza.
Present.
Rich Cecilia.
Here.
Rich Jeffrey. Schmidt, I'm here. Hardaway. Saley.
Here.
Jeff Smith. Jeff Smith. Marjorie Smith. Southwood.
Here.
Mr. Levin is excused. Turcott.
Here.
Vincent. Wall.
Here.
Oh, it says excuse.
Account is 25, president number 4. Okay, so at this time, we'll move to item 6, where Commission Chairman Blair is called upon to introduce the 2024 Commissioner's proposed budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the county delegation, and ladies and gentlemen, the county commission submitted our budget for the calendar year 2024 for your consideration. We proposed $85,258,855 of operating expenses, offsetting revenues of $44,956,436. The proposed budget, the amount to be raised by taxes is $40,302,620, an increase of 4.2% over the 2023 budget. The 15th year in a row, the proposed budget is below the tax caps of the 3 Stratford County cities of Dover, Somerville, and Rochester. Consumer price index for Dover and Rochester through the end of October was 3.2%. While the way the tax cap is calculated, and difference in each city slightly, use of a combination of CPI and growth contributes to this, the tax base and to the caps. We recognize that the towns of Middleton and Milton passed a 2% tax cap for local expenditures. It does cap exempt county and state taxes. Our operation the size of Stratford County is impossible to meet that cap. And instead, we model ourselves to municipal operations. The focus of the 2024 Commissioner's budget is twofold. Number one, to continue to stabilize our workforce in this very competitive labor market. And the second, to accomplish major repairs for the Justice Administration building, House of Corrections, and Riverside. Other counties have chosen to pay travel nurses and aides and pool nurses and pool aides supplement their staffing operations in their nursing homes. The cost spent by those facilities of similar size to Riverside have been in billions. Yeah. Stratford County has chosen to better pay our current staff and continue to attract local residents to help us with our mission. In terms of funding normal Clark County operations, it's never a good financial plan to fund these operations from a prior year's fund balance. Unless fund balance exceeds the 5 to 13% recommended by the State Department of Revenue Administration. Offsetting the operating costs from fund balance starts the next budget year with that much of a tax increase built in. However, using fund balance to offset capital investment, as we are proposing in this budget, does not start next year in a deficit, as those expenses do not repeat themselves. Our 2022 unassigned fund balance was $3,840,435, which is 5.36% of our 2002 audited actual expense. While our current surplus is never determined until the audit is complete, it is safe to say that in 2023 surplus will cover the $1,016,750 we are proposing to use in 2024 to stabilize property. Any balance in surplus beyond that in 2022 will be added to the 2022 fund balance to bring us more in the range that has been recommended by the Department of Revenue. So with that said, Mr. Chairman, this is an opportunity for the delegation to hear from the public regarding the commission's budget. We look forward to working with you all through the subcommittee process and the executive meeting process as you review this document.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I open the public hearing for comments and questions on the proposed 2024 budget, and I recognize Lou Archibald first.
So I didn't want to talk about the budget.
Why don't you use the microphone? Lou, why don't you use the microphone so you can be recorded for posterity?
Hi, my name is Lou Archibald from Rochester. I wasn't here to talk about the budget. I thought we could open up about the new proposed rest home. Is this was something that would be in line with this? No. Okay, I was just wanting to talk about the solar and other.
This is our public hearing on. Okay, it's about the budget.
Okay.
Susan Rice.
Delegation, town commissioner,
You're gonna have to put the pen down, there you have to talk right in.
excuse me. Delegation, county commissioners, and county administrator. I do not take pleasure in my forthcoming words. Those who know me know I'm not one to back down. I speak my mind, try to follow the rule of law, and most importantly, I do show respect. At the meeting of December 20th, I was dismayed at the behavior of the chairperson of this delegation. A position of leadership is an honor, and generally this person is of impeccable quality and standing of our collective communities. Mr. Schmidt, you are an epitome of failure in your duties and your behavior. I introduced myself in an appropriate manner at the podium in a room that was ill-equipped to hold a public hearing. You rudely interrupted me after several speakers spoke before me at the unmiked podium. You, Mr. Schmidt, used the words, ignore you, in referencing my right to speak before this delegation, as well as the words, sit down. How dare you? You have tried to stymie the rights of all of us in this room by limiting our time to speak during a public hearing. You do not have this right. It was such a wonderful scene to watch a public official argue with a member of the public, and I am referencing Rick Hibbard. No, it really wasn't wonderful. You were an embarrassment to our democratic process. The following week, I did attend the county commissioners meeting. I would like to take the opportunity to thank both Mr. Bauer and Mr. Manglaris for their apology, and it was noted that Mr. Manglaris stated he did not have an issue hearing me at the podium, and certainly did not have an issue hearing me when I screamed at the top of my lungs for over 8 minutes. Thank you for spending the money on a microphone system. May it forever be referred to as the Susan. Mr. Schmidt, I have been at several meetings of this delegation. Your behavior is abhorrent. You are not superior to your peers. You are an equal. The meeting of December 20th was rude and disrespected by your actions and comments, and this was not the first time. As the chair of this delegation, you are to run a professional level meeting, which you failed to do. I explained to you of my recent illness. It felt sarcastic comments that you're turning your hearing aid. I hope that no other person ever has to deal with you in the likes of you. I would be more than happy to type out your letter of resignation. Now on to my questions with regard to the budget. I am trying to find the capital improvements program, if the county has one scheduled out for the next 5 to 10 years. I also know, because I have been going to the almost weekly meetings of the county commissioner, that there is going to be, or has been, some income from an insurance settlement to the approximate tune of $80,000, and I'm just trying to figure out which line item that is under, or whether this is when this money will be shuffled into the unassigned fund balance. Then I would like to point out on line 298, we have this account called the Bloodhound Unit for a cost of $14,500. This past year, only $1,300 was spent. To me, that seems like it's an overreach on the amount that is proposed. The court jester program. We have a budget of $137,000, but we have income of only $100,000, and this is for the cafeteria downstairs. Another thing that kind of threw me was that there was a soda machine concession. It's budgeted for $8,200. Currently, it looks like we took in $3,400, but the projected income is $82,000. Unless I'm mistaken, I just don't know how those figures come up to be that kind of money. My last question is, under jail income and room and board, are we being adequately compensated, or is it costing us money to house inmates from out of state and also with this monitoring system? Thank you. And no, Mr. Schmidt, I will speak my mind. Call me out of order all you want, gavel me, it doesn't bother me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Remarks. Let the record reflect that you spoke well beyond the customary time. Mike Blair.
Good evening. I actually have like 4 questions, so I'll just go through them and then if anyone wants like to do a second, but this is for the budget. So the first question is in the budget, there's dollar amounts given for the revenue for each of the payer classes for nursing facility. However, there's no indication in terms of what the assumed or budgeted reimbursement rate is per day, and therefore not the number of days. So it's based on 2 factors: number of days in that class and amount of revenue per day for that. And given the fact that the revenue assumptions that were in Lori Shibanet's proposal for the new nursing home are based upon those same type of assumptions, it seems reasonable that would be something included in this budget. So I'll understand and see. So that's one question. Second question is, with regards to the nursing hours, it's very typical in nursing facilities to budget your nursing hours based upon the number of resident days it's paid to provide care for. There's a total dollar amount, which for the registered class up significantly, which may be as a result of the nurse practitioner that was mentioned later on in the notice section. Or it could be other factors and stuff for the pay, which I think the commissioner was talking about. But I do think that it would be reasonable also, at least for registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, and nursing assistants, to indicate the number of hours that are budgeted, so that you have a means of tracking. Are you meeting your staffing requirements? If not, or exceeding the staffing requirements overall. So that would seem to be something that would be a reasonable thing to include. The third item is a little technical, but at page 33 in the budget, section 2.5180, positions and pharmacy services. The current budget is $550,000 for physician services and pharmacy services. The note that goes with that says, fees and outside services physicians. Doctors of Riverside and Hyder weekday mornings and weekends can take all emergency calls routine speech therapy services, which is probably not that much, swallowing valve, non-Medicaid reimbursable, and reduction in costs due to hiring a practitioner position in the nursing department. But although the current year's budget is $550,000, next year's coming budget is $650,000, which doesn't seem to jive with the reduction of. So two questions that come off of that. One is, what's the explanation for why it says the reduction is actually up $100,000? And the second is that under the revenue section of the budget, there's no indication that I can see, certainly no line item for physician services revenue. So if you're paying a physician, we're doing all the rounding, doing the physician care, there should be a fairly good sized slug, like up under $200,000 of revenue for that. And I don't see anything here that relates to that. So that's that question. And the last question is on bad debt. There's nothing in addition in terms of what the allowance for bad debt for the year. It depends on your accounting services, but that's generally good practice to account for that. You can have bad debt everywhere, and you can expense that as you write a lot. So you can see that. And the last little point with regards to the nursing hours, which kind of drove me to ask that question. When you look at the 2022 audit, they have a page schedule 13 that actually shows a number of 13, I think it's 14 also, the number of Riverside average occupancy days per year, and then also the patient days of total hours. And when you look at those, and you look at the FTEs per occupied bed over the course of that time from 2013 to 2022. And again, my calculations are correct here. From 2013, it starts off 1.413 FTEs per occupied bed day. And in 2022, this is a steady progression over the years, it's 1.979, which is a rather hefty increase. Part of which in the last couple of years may go due to COVID, where you've not got a census all of a sudden. But the question comes back to budgeting is what are you budgeting for? Are you budgeting for a census that used to be 180 or 190 or 100? And you've got a census that starts off at 144, so they're about something like that for last year. I think it was 144 and 22. I can see that. Probably about 150 some odd range, I guess, what the assumption was when we did the hearings. So those are the questions that sort of relate to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Oh, thank you, Mr. Is it on or off?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't catch all you said. You're a little soft voiced, and I couldn't write that fast, actually. Do you have notes we could have copies on?
So
Peter, do you?
I don't have an extra copy, but I can certainly email it to you.
Oh, that'd be fine, yeah. Or everybody, or
Well, I'm sorry, I don't know email, I can send you.
I'm sure everybody would like to see it again. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if it would be convenient, if Mr. Lerman can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Mr. Lerman can email me.
Use the microphone for the TV people.
Sure, I'm sorry. If Mr. Lerman would email those questions to me, I'd be happy to email with answers to the whole delegation. These are things that are normally discussed at the subcommittee meeting, but I'd be happy to answer all of those questions and send it to the whole delegation.
That would be the way we would like that.
Yeah, that'd be even better.
The same for Mrs. Rice, if there were questions. Are there any further public who wish to have an opportunity to speak? I ask again, anyone from the public who wishes to speak? Thank you very much. Close the public hearing. and proceed to item 10, approve minutes of December 20th, 2023 delegation meeting. So motion, so moved by Representative Petrie. Your second. Second by Representative Conlon. Other corrections, Representative Turcott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For as long as I've been here, there's been, or as long as we've been voting via Zoom, the minutes have not contained the RSA requirements. And I'm going to read you the RSA that speaks to this, and I'm going to make another comment. A member of the public body may participate in a meeting other than by attendance in person at the location of the meeting only when such attendance is not reasonably practical. Any reason that such attendance is not reasonably practical shall be stated in the minutes of the meeting. There are no, last December meeting, we had 5 individuals who were not here. I will go further to say that at the very end of the meeting, section 13 of the meeting minutes, the last line, when I made an objection to the fact that individuals had voted online, which I do every meeting because I don't think we should be doing that. Rep. Howard, and I'm going to read right from here. Rep. Howard objected to Rep. Turcott's objection, noting he would have driven the significant distance had he known that he could have made it in time to vote. I'm going to maintain that Rep. Howard, not only is his reason not in here as the other 4 are not, but Rep. Howard, by that comment, and I'm glad it was included in the meeting minutes, actually is admitting he could have been here at the meeting, meaning I do not believe he has a reasonable, where is it? His such attendance is not reasonably practical. He admitted by making that comment that he actually could have been here. I'm not going to, yeah, I will. There were 14 members of the Republican delegation. 14 of us were here during that meeting. 5 who weren't here were all from the other party, and 3 of them were, as also in the minutes it was mentioned, the youngest member of the delegation supports moving forward with this design. That was also a comment by Rep. Howard. So I would ask that his vote actually be disqualified from that last meeting because he could have reasonably been here. And I would also ask that the meeting, this meeting minutes include the reasons why the 5 individuals weren't here, and going forward that they also be. Thank you.
Can I make a comment about this? So I was in Connecticut at the time of the vote, and I had gone with my girlfriend 3 hours away, 3.5 hours away. We had driven together, and it was something where at the beginning of the meeting, it was 6 p.m. And if it had been something where we had wanted to have everybody in attendance because it was required by the RSA, as we had discussed, it is reasonable to say, in my opinion, that if the objection had been made at the beginning of the meeting and it was true, which I'm disagreeing with your assessment of the RSA, then it would be a possibility for somebody to force themselves unreasonably to come to the meeting. I think that it is very unreasonable for somebody like myself who did not have the opportunity to necessarily drive myself up to say that my vote should be discredited. I potentially could have unreasonably arrived, but that is not necessarily a reason to strike my vote. Thank you.
Well, I certainly think it's a question of interpretation of what's reasonable and unreasonable. I see Representative Bailey.
if that's going to be allowed, why do any of us ever come to these meetings? Why don't we all Zoom in and just forget having the meetings?
Well, isn't it reasonable to say that the farthest distance that we should be driving should be within our state, within our county?
Say that you don't go to Connecticut if you have a meeting.
I'm sorry, but this was December 20th during a holiday. I was in a different state, several hours away.
State your point of order.
Where he can talk.
I was recognized, he was not.
Everyone knows. Point of order, you're pitting the integrity of representative power, and so, and.
Don't go to Connecticut if you can't be at the meeting.
Well, that's,
You don't dial in and say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't be there. I was busy.
that's not fair to judge's reasons for being here.
Representative Holland, you're next.
Just as a suggestion, one further from Representative Turcott, talk about the minutes, in some of the committees I worked with that in, for the local municipality, when we did the roll call, during the roll call, if somebody is on Zoom, they stated their reason during the roll call, so that everybody in the room knew exactly what it was, and they would go over the minutes, just add further transparency.
Representative Southwood is next.
Thank you. Yes, and it isn't really part of it, I don't believe, to question someone's reason for not being there. They just stated. But the other thing that I have spoken to Director Bauer before about is we should have our legal opinion in the minutes, because we do have a legal opinion that we can use Zoom. Many committees do all around, including our own Senate. So I think let's put the legal opinion out to everyone in the minutes. Because we, you know, the interpretations don't really mean much when we're trying to solve the law. Thank you.
Representative Ford.
Thank you. First of all, as I said before, we're impugning the integrity of Representative Howard, so that's probably, he was acting in good faith. Also, that particular meeting was one of the longest county delegation I've attended. I've been doing this for 16 years now, so he really had no reason necessarily when he was found himself in Connecticut for whatever reason, and there's nothing wrong with being in Connecticut. It's a perfectly fine state. He probably had no way of anticipating the meeting would go on so long that it would have been at least theoretically possible for him to hop into his car and drive all the way back up here. He still could have been in time here for the final votes. That's not, that probably came as that was probably not what anybody, hopefully nobody was expecting it to go on that long. I mean, it went that long, I guess for good reason. So that was, so when he was there at 6 o'clock, when the meeting was called to order, he had no way of knowing that it was needed. He's so unusually long that he could have driven up here, presumably listened in on Zoom on his car or something. So that's, this is really not certainly it's not fair to expect not to take the option to Zoom, and certainly it's even more unfair to try and retroactively cancel his vote. He was elected by the people of Wisconsin constituency, and I think he's been serving in good faith and very honorably. So that's I find it. So I feel so sad that his integrity is being impugned like this, especially he's probably one of the. He's probably one of the most honorable. We're all honorable here, but he's probably one of the most honorable members of your delegation. So just I think the whole thing. I think the delegation should move on and count his vote, and we should continue. We should respect his vote, respect his decision, and move on. Thanks.
Anyone else? Representative.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to speak loud. I hope everybody can hear me. We all went through COVID. We're all still here, but we all know people that aren't here. Well, that time has passed, thankfully. We should get back to good government. We did what we had to do when we had COVID, and a lot of us were stuck at home. A lot of us suffered. We didn't get to see family loved ones that we would have liked to have seen for quite a while, but that's over. So we should get back to good government and say, you got to try to be here. We made a commitment when we ran for office to be present at these meetings. We attended a meeting last week that amounted to nothing as far as I'm concerned, but we were here and we listened to it. I'd like to know how much that meeting cost to pay the delegates to be present. Because there was nothing accomplished from somebody that basically was fired. We had to listen to for 2 hours. So if people can't be here, they need to give a good excuse why they can't be here. That's only reasonable to ask that and to get that and to try to be here. Sometimes I get it when you make an appointment and you say, we're gonna have a meeting. It's not perfect for everybody. It's very seldom you ask everybody what's a good time for you. They're all gonna agree. But the chairman of my committee came around and he had the courtesy to ask us, which I don't know if you've ever done, does this work for you guys? Is this a good time to have a meeting? And I thanked him for doing it because that's a little bit of communication that can happen too. This meeting last Wednesday, or the meeting Monday, was it Monday before the election?
Monday,
Yeah, that was a Republican primary and a lot of us could have been doing phone banks and stuff, but we were here. That was rude to have that meeting on that night, the night before our primary. Well, we had it anyway, and some of us have, this time of year, we're very busy with town meetings and on, so maybe a little better communication, and the people that can't seem to make it anytime, you might want to ask them, well, is there a day that you could make it that would work for you when you're not in Connecticut or have a better place to be than here, because we're all making the sacrifice to be here. And I thought that needed to be said. COVID is pretty much over. The people that are getting it are not getting deathly sick. They're getting headaches, colds, and sometimes in families, one member gets it, the other one doesn't even get it. They're in the same house. But that's gone. It's time to get back to good government.
Okay,
Just one more comment. Representative Newton hits the nail on the head. It's about being here if you can be here and making the effort. Representative Howland will confirm what I'm about to tell you. In our committee on municipal and county government, I thanked the entire committee last week because I believe we have one of the best committees where everybody shows up at that table. All 20 of us are almost always there. You go into a lot of these committees at the State House, and it's a handful here, a handful there. I congratulate our committee. Republicans, Democrats, the whole bit. I think we should see the same effort here from everyone. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Peter?
Yeah, Representative.
So will we be amending the minutes to include what Representative Turcott brought up that he had said at the last meeting? There should be in these things should be in the minutes.
If you recall, because most of you were here, every time Representative Turcott has raised this objection, I've asked that it be included in the minutes, that his objection be noted, because I didn't particularly agree with some aspects of his particular point of view, but he has a right to be heard and he has a right to have his remarks recorded, especially when it's an objection. And there was an earlier remark with regard to getting a legal opinion. We have, in point of fact, asked the new county attorney to write up a legal opinion on the question of Zoom participation and voting by Zoom. And she has completed that. And she's not here tonight for reasons I think we're all aware of. But I'm happy to have the legal opinion distributed to the entire delegation so everyone knows what her opinion is.
I'm asking, do we go forward with the minutes, adding his complaint?
It's in there.
Is that what you, did you say that there was something, did you say something was missing?
I'm going to rule that.
It's an RSA, yeah. It's an RSA requirement. It's not a.
We can confer.
Are the minutes okay the way they are?
We can confer with the.
Then we should amend them, right?
Yes, we need to amend them. Yes.
So.
Yeah, I finished my remarks and then I'll let you know. Okay. I think it's, I'm going to rule that it's a question of interpretation whether Representative Howard could have reasonably made it back and been present for the meeting. I'm going to rule that then he felt that he could not make it back. He stated that if he had known, that he might have been able to get back, okay? So, but he didn't make it back and he didn't know at the time. So I'm gonna rule that he did not believe he could reasonably come back under the circumstances. And if there's an objection, we'll see what the county attorney has to say about your request for his vote to be stricken. Okay, Representative Boris. Oh, sorry. He has been raising his hand for quite some time.
I have a question of the chair, which first of all, would it be appropriate at this time to enter a resolution apologizing to Representative Howard for just, I think, the way he's been treated, and so would it be better to do this now or at some other point during the meeting? You know, he was
Are still in the minutes?
actually should be acting in good faith.
I'm not going to entertain that motion. Representative Potential.
Okay, so I'm a big mouth, I don't need that. So I don't understand, why we're getting all in a tizzy about this. I don't believe he was questioning his integrity. When Representative Turcott was speaking, maybe we have him repeat it. He was just saying, based upon the RSA, it's supposed to be in the minutes for the reasons why the people can't attend. That's all he said. And then he read from the minutes, which it looked as if he could have attended. He wasn't questioning his integrity or anything like that. And then he got very defensive and he was in Connecticut. We didn't need that. He was just literally reading what was in there. And now we've wasted about 15 minutes of this. And all he said was, that was it. It needs to be in there based upon the RSA. And so we would like those amended. I think we should move forward.
On the minutes.
Thank you. On the minutes.
Thank you very much. I'm reluctant to kind of be dictatorial here and gavel people down and so forth and so on. I don't do it too often. But the bottom line is, at the same time, I think we want to be colleagues. That means that we have to be collegial in both directions. We have to speak our mind within decorum, but we also have to not, hammer every point into the floorboards. So I applaud your remarks, Representative Potenza, and indeed I propose that we move on. Okay, and we will attempt to comply more precisely with the RSA so that we get a better attendance in those instances where people come with a sense of the obligation that we've all taken to enter onto this office. Okay, thank you. So,
would you like a motion?
We were in the process of approving the minutes of the delegation meeting. Representative Turcott has to be recognized, and his remarks will be entered in. The minutes will be corrected to the degree that they're inaccurate. All right. So, item 11. You got to vote on it. Thank you. So we do have a motion to approve, and was there a second? I said there was already a motion. Was there a second?
Yes.
Okay, so is there further discussion? Because that was what Representative Turcott was doing, was the discussion that I opened before. So it's all. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
No.
Show of hands.
As amended. It is as amended, right? I think that's confusion here. Wasn't made clear. Wasn't made clear. I think you're right, Joe. It's as amended.
The chair is in doubt as to whether the yeas or the nays prevail. So we'll have a roll. Okay.
Just the chair? Yes. You do not say as amended. We haven't amended those minutes. Yeah, it's the minutes as amended, right, Joe? Correct. That's what we're voting on.
We need to read the amendment. What is the amendment?
I recognize Representative Turcott to make the correction of the minutes that he thought was appropriate. We had the discussion. That,
I made these comments, I don't recall hearing an amendment.
Well, it's any errors or omissions and that when you say what you stated. You said he's gonna put your comments in, I thought. Which would include comments.
he made his remarks with regard to correcting the minutes. We had the discussion on that issue, and I think it's appropriate to have the minutes corrected to reflect what you stated.
But they have to also reflect the reason that the people not present. That was the.
Well, that's my point. I mean, that hasn't been discussed, so I don't know how.
The further discussion is not really part of the minutes. Further discussion is whether we are going to attempt to adhere more closely to the RSA rules cited, and the other part of the discussion. That's not part of the correction of the minutes. That's the colloquy that we had with regard to adhering to the RSA more closely. And I'll recognize you in a moment.
Well, I'm not sure if I can make a friendly amendment. In terms of a friendly amendment would be that the amended minutes include the reason that members were not present.
Yeah.
In compliance with the RSA.
Correct.
That kind of.
Is that acceptable, right?
I would second Representative Collins' amendment.
Okay.
So what the vote?
Okay, so do we have a motion to proceed with, based on your friendly amendment? Representative Turcott has a seconded. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. You know, proceed. Now we have to vote on the minute as amended. So I think we should have a roll call because otherwise we're just gonna have a shouting like this. We should see who has yeas and nays. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Could somebody read the amendment to me, please, that we're voting on? You're asking us to vote on an amendment. I'd like to see it in front of me or read it, to be able to understand what we're voting for.
Representative Howland, would you repeat your
Specifically, the minutes would include the members that were participating by Zoom, reason that they could not participate in person. I think that means.
Yeah.
The motions are always.
It's all recorded.
I won't see it right.
Well, it'll be reflected in the written minutes, but.
When we see them at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Representative Turcott, you seconded that motion. So are you satisfied with what you just heard?
Yes, I was. Look, the only thing I'm trying to get through here is that there is an RSA requirement. It has not been done ever. It needs to be done. It's not, we will try to do better. It's an RSA requirement. That's all I'm trying to get done. So I will agree with Representative Howland with the amendment. I do want to see corrected minutes with the reasons that the 5 individuals were not here as the RSA requires. That's all.
Well, this Hilbert is making notes of the colloquy we've been having. And when it's written up, it'll be distributed and you can see whether it reflects your request. Okay. So now we're gonna have a roll call on the, well, we don't have the verbatim amendment.
Wait till we do.
Yes, so can we wait till our next meeting to approve those minutes?
I think that's what we're supposed to do.
Perfect, thank you.
Table the approval of the minutes. Okay. So, at this time, we're going to proceed to item 11, which is to remind the delegation of subcommittee budget oversight responsibility. So, the subcommittee chairman have already been notified of the proposed meeting times. And we have some of them to read to the delegation at this time. Like I said. Okay. So, just to remind the delegation of what the membership of the various different subcommittees is, the general government, Representative Oregon is chair, Michael Granger, Cassandra Levesque, Len Turcott, Peter Bixby, Tom Krasinski, Cecilia Rich, Bill Conlon, Pam Kenny, Jeff Rubich. Criminal justice, and we'll circulate these by email as well. Criminal justice, Ken Vincent, chair, James Conner, Keith Howard, Jeff Smith, Bruce Bay, Michael Harrington, Brandon Finney, Terry Cannon, James Morgan, Bill Peters. Riverside Resto, Janet Wall, chair, Claudia Burnham, Neil Pear, Steve Nankerberg, Alan Howland, Kelly Potenza, David Bickford, Jessica LaMontagne, Susan Trelevin. Representative capital expenditures and special projects, Thomas Southworth, chairman, Wilfred Newton, Glenn Bailey, Lauren Selly, Chuck Grassley.
Correction, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Representative Southworth.
Representative Howland is going to replace Representative Sully on revenues.
Representative Potenza, you mean?
No, Representative Howland.
What, yes, it's going to
Replace me.
Representative Sully.
replace you. Thank you for question. Very good. Now, the Policies and Procedures Committee, as you all are well aware, the former Stratford County High Sheriff, Mark Grave, has resigned. Under the statute, we are obligated, we can't just ask the acting sheriff to continue. We have to elect the new sheriff the same way we elected the new county attorney when former county attorney Velarde resigned to go to the attorney general's office. Okay, so I selected the following members to serve on the policy and procedure subcommittee to vet the applicants for the position of sheriff. So the three officers are ex officio members, myself, Representative Fitzpatrick, and Cassandra Levesque are the three officers. And the following additional members will serve: Representative Horgan, Representative Petrie, Representative Howland, and Representative Kenny. That's for once the filing period is over, which I believe is coming Friday, and we'll wait for a couple of days for late mail to arrive when it was filed on the deadline. And then that subcommittee that I just named will meet to consider the candidates. And then we are also going to have the setting of the elected official salaries for 2025, 2026. And that will be the three officers, myself, Representative Patrick, and Representative Levesque. And I'm going to ask the following additional members to participate in that committee. Representative Harrington, will notify him by mail. Representative Petrie, Representative Howland, and Representative Kennedy. Now, after that.
Okay, I have a
Now, yeah, Representative Potenza, you're right.
So you just said a lot of stuff and I missed some pieces, so.
This will all be communicated by email, so you all get, you know.
Okay, but just in regards with the sheriff position, you said that they are, like people are putting in for that now and it closes on Friday. When did that open up?
What was it?
It was in the newspaper 3 days at the beginning of January. In the newspaper?
It was in the newspaper for 3 days?
Yeah. The article was in the newspaper, Boston's Daily Democrat.
That's the way we file public notice, the same way we do with delegation meetings. And there was an ad in the paper.
For the position of sheriff,
For
that
the
will,
position of sheriff.
okay, and then they'll only be in that position up until the election.
They will be in that position, up until the election, when all the elected officials will be
Correct.
up for re-election or replacement.
Only 3 days, huh? That's just, is that the norm?
The norm to publish the, an
Job
ad in the
posting?
paper. That's the way we do it. It's been done that way for years.
Okay.
Okay? That's what's in order.
Something I think, I just learned today was a surprise to hear because he looks much too young to be, old enough for this to be an issue, but the acting sheriff, turned 70 before the current term expires too, so it indicates we would, have to appoint another interim sheriff to replace him if we fail to appoint a permanent sheriff. Is that true?
Well, first of all, we don't know who all has filed, okay? And so until we know who those people are and have the policies of procedure subcommittee vet those applicants, we won't know whether it's the active sheriff or someone else.
Okay, then.
And the delegation will elect the new high sheriff for the remainder of the term, and then the election will be held on November 4th, I believe, and then we'll see who's elected. And that person will take office on, I think, the 3rd of January, 2025. Yes, Representative Sung.
Thank you. My understanding, and I don't remember
No, we're not hearing.
my understanding, and I don't remember the bill number, but that there's a bill before the House that would allow the sheriff and also judges to stay beyond their 70th birthday to the end of that elected term. And I don't know where it is in status, but I know that I read the details of it. So it could well be before we get to that date, it's resolved by legislation. Sensible legislation.
Anyone else wish to be heard? Okay, so, all of the executive committee meeting date, that's my choice, is it not? And the same for the proposed delegation, right? That's my choice. Okay, well, then I would choose the proposed executive committee meeting. For those of you who are on the executive committee, it will be Friday, March 1st, 2024 at 9 a.m. No date will be Friday, March 8th, 9 a.m. The proposed full delegation public meeting date, at which time we will vote on the budget, that will be March 20th at 6 p.m. Or March 13th. Well, and that would be the alternative date for the snow day will be March 27th. Again, this will be communicated by email to everyone, so you don't have to write it on that. Okay. Further comments? Representative Kuzinski.
Yeah, is this something new, having the 6 p.m. meetings? I thought we used to meet at 7 o'clock. I mean, this is, for me personally, it's inconvenient. Is something new, policy, and why the night before?
We have traditionally met at 7 o'clock. You're quite correct. And I believe we scheduled it for 6 p.m. for reasons that I frankly don't recall at this point. And
Used to feed us. Used to feed us. You used to feed us.
well, we fed you tonight.
Oh, you did? I missed that.
It was in the bulletin.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of people showed up. Representative Potenza was there. I saw her.
Oh.
Representative Bailey was there. I saw him.
I stuffed my face, yeah.
No,
Your question, it wasn't.
I'm unclear as to why it says 6 p.m. here. Can we
change it?
Can we have some clarification?
You can have whatever you want.
I understand that, but
Why did we go to six?
Don't say 6 p.m. So what's the pleasure of the delegation? Representative Kaczynski has just stated it was considerably inconvenient for him to be here.
I mean, I'm not retired, I could be retired, but I'm not, I enjoy working. And
I understand you're a
this
working
is
guy.
kind of a rush coming to a 6 p.m. meeting. For some reason in Rochester, they're doing the same thing in the city bases. It's not convenient for some people in the public to be there at 6 o'clock, when they might eat supper then. That's my feeling, anyway.
Can we switch it to 7?
You're not next, but I'll recognize you. So Representative Wall,
The Wednesday.
can you use the mic?
Is March 20th a Wednesday?
Yes.
I can't come, my committee meets too late for that.
Well, it's certainly if it's at 6 p.m.
Yeah, I barely made it tonight. Instead of 7.
I'm entertaining a discussion as to why it says 6 p.m. Is there some reason that we're talking about 6 p.m.? Well, then let's go back to 7 p.m. Is that substantially better, Tom?
Yeah, that's fine with me. I was just wondering, it seemed like I just more.
So 7 o'clock will work better. Anyone else? Okay, then let's see a show of hands with regard to whether we want to have it at 7 p.m., which is what we've done for years. I don't have any, I'm not wedded to 6 p.m. Show of hands.
I don't want to have.
Is that a clear majority? 7? Okay, I didn't vote, it's up to you. So we'll change that down to 7. Representative Bennett. Wait a minute, Representative Bainbridge, I didn't recognize you yet. Okay, Representative Bennett.
Okay, so can we just go over the meeting dates again, because we kind of went from that and then.
Well, it's gonna be sent to you, but I'm happy to comply. Okay, so the executive committee meeting, I want you serve on the executive committee.
Yep.
It's gonna be Friday, March 1st at 9 a.m. That is our traditional time,
Yep.
Friday morning at 9 a.m. Snow day, if it's a snow out, will be Friday, March 8th at 9 a.m. Okay, the full delegation public meeting date will be March 20th at 7 p.m. And the snow date will be Wednesday, March 27th, also at 7 p.m.
Quick question, in the past, has the executive committee been given the budget stuff prior to the full delegation? Okay.
The subcommittees are going to be vetting the budget in the coming months. Before then, that's the purpose of this, all these dates. So the subcommittee will meet, each subcommittee vets its section of the budget. And when we're all done, and we have we can't file the budget before a certain date, you can't file it after a certain date.
I know that.
The meetings and so forth all have to fit within a statutory structure so that we get it done in time to meet the statutory requirement for the budget to be adopted. Okay? Representative Wall, you have something for? You're good? Okay. Are there? Okay, so now I believe we have meeting dates for the subcommittees, some of them. Representative Morgan, do you have a meeting dates?
Yes, I chose the Friday before President's Day, which I believe is February 16th. And what time was it? A little bit 10? 9 up at the Commissioners Conference Room, which as most of you know is if you take a right by the main entrance, it's down at the end of that hallway.
Representative Wall, do you have the meeting date?
Could I please meet with the people from Riverside Rest Home briefly after this to set a date that will work for you?
Thank you.
I'm looking at February 6th, Tuesday.
Oh,
No, can't do, that's my committee meeting, that's my committee in that.
Okay, okay, after we close, just make.
Let's not do this.
Like to avoid
Okay, Representative Southwood, says we pick the meeting date.
Yes, it's,
Use the mic.
February 16th at 1 p.m.
Can you do 16th? You can't do Friday?
Hear that?
It's Friday, February 16th.
All right.
I can do Friday.
Yeah, me too.
Monday and Friday.
And it's my birthday. So I'll bring cake and we can all have the sub-kid meeting.
That was nothing to bring questions.
Kelly's birthday, I suppose. No, I don't celebrate it.
Okay, so the criminal justice subcommittee, Representative Vincent is the chair of the February 19th. Come on. If we have all the side talk, you can't hear me and I can hear myself. Okay, so Representative Vincent has selected February 9th at 10 a.m. in Cafe Garden.
Who's that?
That's the Representative Vincent is the chair of the criminal justice. Again, February 9th, Cafe Garden, Zoom, 10 a.m. And then Representative Wall will be meeting with the Riverside Restaurant Subcommittee after the meeting to determine that. Is there further business that may come before legally come before the delegation at this time? Representative Yurka,
What?
you have any legal business which may come before the delegation at this time?
Just listen. No.
Okay, well, you very frequently have items of interest, and so I don't have.
They're both good process, Mr. Chairman. Process issues.
Only amenable to that idea. So seeing no further business which may legally come before the delegation, Representative Southern.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
A second.
Third.
Been moved and seconded, we adjourn this